And look, you were involved in a lot of these in the 90s, and you basically called the Republicans terrorists, and you said that it is not the responsible party that keeps the government closed.
I can disagree with you about the history there, but we don't need a history lesson right now.
George,
let's talk about what's happening right now.
If you want, I've got all your quotes here. George.
I'm sure you do. But let's talk about the situation right now.
Read your book. So you got one purchase on Amazon this week, and that's very much what you said.
That's Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent absolutely torching ABC's resident news elf, George Stephanopoulos, by pointing out his hypocrisy over the shutdown and unexpectedly using his own words against him. Welcome to Nerk News, I'm Nerkish, and it looks like the 40-day Democrat-engineered shutdown just crashed and burned. Because Trump didn't blink, Democrats folded like cheap suits. No concessions, no victories, nothing to show for their chaos. They tried to use the shutdown to sneak benefits for illegals and ended up exposing their own scam. Here's Scott Jennings breaking it all down on CNN.
Scott, the agreement that was reached tonight, I mean, what do you think it does to perhaps what we heard from President Trump, where he repeatedly claimed the Democrats wanted to give free health care to, as he put it, to illegal aliens, as he said. I mean, now part of this agreement is to fund SNAP for another year. So essentially, I mean, should we revisit the claim that the president never really provided evidence for?
Well, look, in the beginning, Democrats absolutely did want to repeal part of the big, beautiful bill that does strictly prohibit illegal aliens from getting Medicaid benefits. That's a separate issue from SNAP. Look, what happened tonight is what's been happening. Republicans have repeatedly voted to fund SNAP. Democrats had been voting to not fund SNAP by, of course, voting to keep the government closed. And only a handful of Democrats tonight voted to fund SNAP. I'm glad those brave Democrats stepped forward to fund SNAP because people absolutely need it. If this were really about SNAP, if it were really about starving families, Democrats on Twitter and Democrats on social media and Democrats on some of the other networks wouldn't be having the meltdown that they're having tonight. But one good outcome here is that Republicans finally got their way. People will get their SNAP benefits, just the way the Republicans have been voting since day one. I'm shocked, frankly, that Democrats have been voting to defund SNAP. It's pretty shocking, really, that they held these SNAP beneficiaries hostage. And now, here at the end of it, again, it's all political. They got nothing. They held these poor people hostage and literally got nothing. They got nothing except a bunch of anxiety and a bunch of pain throughout the American people. Terrible.
Yeah, as we heard from some Democrats, they would say, as we've made clear.
Democrats shut down the government to give Medicaid to illegals while pretending to fight for American families. Jennings pointed out that Republicans voted multiple times to fund SNAP, but Democrats kept the country closed to protect their broken Obamacare machine. I mean, it's a little funny how the supposed party of compassion seemed to have no issue using poor families as political props. Thankfully, it backfired spectacularly. Here's NBC's Kristen Welker, of all people, pressing Jeffries on his party's pathetic stunt.
Leader Jeffries, Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer did make a new offer, effectively saying, let's extend Obamacare subsidies for 1 year in exchange for reopening the government for 1 year. You have said that you would support that proposal, but just last month, you said this. Take a look.
A 1 year extension of the Affordable Care Act tax credits is not acceptable. It's a non-starter. It's a non-starter.
So, Leader Jeffries, what changed?
Well, the proposal that I was making reference to in October was something that was floated out there by a handful of rank and file House Republicans, and that was immediately rejected by House Republican leadership because they have no interest in driving down the high cost of living for everyday Americans. The Schumer proposal, of course, was offered in good faith.
Watching that exchange says everything about where Democrats are right now. I mean, the shutdown's over and they're trying to act like this was all part of some master plan. They spent weeks blocking the same deal they just accepted, and now they're spinning it as a win. The truth is they folded under pressure, and the media is scrambling to clean it up.
And I'll tell you one thing this has exposed, though, the complete and total failure of Obamacare. I mean, it's not affordable. No, people that have it don't feel like it even is real insurance. And now we see, I mean, it's a mess. And if anytime the government's having to subsidize something like this, it's not working in the first place. And so I think the American people are realizing just how messed up the American healthcare system is. And the regime under which we live is Obamacare. But look, I think a lot of Republicans do not want people to see skyrocketing premiums. And so we'll see what that debate looks like. This whole thing has exposed this outlandish money laundering scheme where your tax dollars go right into insurance companies and your health insurance never gets better. Your health care never gets better. Your health outcomes never get better. That's what we have exposed here. So what our responsibility is as a Republican Party, how do we stop getting your tax money to insurance companies? And how do we put more actual money into the health care of the American people? Because I can assure you, writing a bunch of checks to insurance companies doesn't make your health care any better.
You know, Scott Jennings just nailed it. I mean, now that the shutdown's over, the mask is off. Obamacare wasn't healthcare reform. It was a bailout for insurance giants. Since 2014, taxpayers have dumped more than $1.8 trillion into subsidies and exchange payments, while premiums jumped 94% nationwide. Insurers pocketed record profits while families got stuck with 5-figure deductibles and zero real coverage. Democrats shut down the country to defend that sleazy racket and got nothing. Jennings is right, Trump exposed the grift because this was never about compassion, it was about keeping the money flowing. But let me know what you think. Did this shutdown finally expose what Obamacare really is? Let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. That stuff really does help us out. Until then, this has been Nerk News. Thanks for watching. Bye.